That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild. Strawberry ice, bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's finest kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the rolling stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's finest kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. God, it's nice and sunny out there today, but it's hot. You don't want to cut your grass. You don't want to do that, mulch bed, trimming the bushes, any of that stuff. You just want to sit there and point at it and drink a beer and tell Giant to do it. Well, if you want to do that, give them a call at 513-430-6114. 513-430-6114 and let Priority Lawn and Landscaping take care of it for you. You can also follow them on Facebook. I always recommend following them on Facebook because you can always check out their work. Again, Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Let's see, one more thing. I always forget about this. Well, next week, we're 1 week away, where I'm going to come out of softball retirement and play in the 35th Annual Celebrity Softball Classic, July 17th at Florence Yall Stadium. You can get your tickets at Celebrity Softball Classic. Hopefully, I will not embarrass myself or hurt myself, but if you want to come and have a good time, there's supposed to be a drone show afterwards. Probably some beer drinking going on. Well, we'll see. There's lots of celebrities, which I am not a celebrity, but I'm just happen to be on the field. Hopefully I'll make it and not hurt myself. We'll find out. What's up to everybody in the chat? We got Stranger in there, Brad's in there, and Tony Blazem. All right, guys. The Reds. I want to start off with this before we get to Jeff Carr here and Joe Farfsing. They have been an up and down team, as we all know. They are back to not being able to hit again. May was awful. June was pretty good. July is starting out very bad. This is we went through the gauntlet of the really hard part of the schedule. They made it through there. They did pretty good. They're above one game above 500. They lose tonight, they're back at 500 again. This next stretch of games here at home before the All-Star break are huge. Last night, watching them throw the ball around, kick the ball around, you could see that stuff in Little League. It was unbelievable. Will Benson, God love him, made a throw. Threw it to the wrong side of home plate. Throws it to the third base side of home plate. The guy's out. And the games were still up by one run. Again, back-to-back games, only scoring one run. This offense is frustrating, and I'm not going to take credit for this. Well, it started last night because, I was headed to the airport to pick up my wife and daughter, so I was listening to extra innings with Lance last night, and he was frustrated. He's like, we don't have enough talent. And I'm like, we have – these guys are talented. And Mo Egger brought this up on his show too, so I was already thinking about this topic. But Mo said it too. He's like, they're talented. These guys were number one prospects. We've seen them take professional at-bats. We've seen, like Ellie, Matt McClain, Marte, CES. We've seen them do this stuff. The starting pitching of our, studs out of the minor leagues are working. Why, in God's name, is our hitters not developing? And that's what I feel like they're not developing. They're not taking the next step. Like I know Matt McClain missed all of last year, but they dropped it back into order. And it seemed like he started to come back, and then he put it back in the 2-hole. And he's had one hit since July, 7th or something like that. Maybe it's farther than that. I think it was a Boston series. He was like 1 for 4. Then He went 0 for July 4th through the 7th, and he's got 1 hit since then. Anyway, it's just not good. And at least consistent. CES is driving me insane. He's one that I thought would be that big power bat that we need. He's not consistent. Marte hasn't been up here long enough to be consistent. We kept giving that bats to Reese Hines, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. We have talent, though. Why can't we get the talent out of this team is what I want to know. Is that coaching, front office? What do you guys think? With that being said, let's get to the co-host first before we get to the star. The co-host just showed up, and you got to hear his story about his vacation. But let's get to Joe Schmo. What's up, Joe?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me all right?
I can. You get all sophisticated on me. You got earbuds in. Your
I
hair's
have
looking all.
earbuds in, but my microphone wasn't working, so I got to use the mic on the earbuds. I don't know what the hell's going on. So
Actually, sounds good. I had a problem with my microphone yesterday. That like right before the show started, I'm trying to click on the right buttons to try to get it to work. Anyway, live show. That's what happens. But let's get to the man who I know knows all the answers. He can tell us exactly what's wrong with the Reds, how he can fix them. Of course, you guys watch him. If you don't listen to him or watch him on Locked On Reds, where have you been? He's none other than Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds. All right, Jeff, you tell me what is going on here. How do we fix this? Right off the bat, let's go.
Well, it's good to be with you guys. To be honest with you, I think the Reds are the most frustrating thing that they can be.
Yes.
They are meeting expectations. They are not exceeding expectations. And they are not missing expectations. They are right in the center of, they're fine. They're not good, and they could make a few moves and be good.
Yeah.
But as they are right now, I think that they are a 84, 85 win team.
Now, my question is, sorry, Joe. I just want to set this up first real quick. What I was saying before is, my question is, and Lance said this last night, he said it's talent. We don't have enough talent. I fight back on that a little bit. I think we need to add some more talent. I do think we need to add some more talent. But the guys there should be talented enough to get through this. They should be good enough to do professional at-bats like the Phillies are doing. I know the Phillies got a whole bunch of veterans, but we've seen these guys do it. The pitchers are coming through from our minor leagues. These guys were MLB pipeliners, top 10, top 100 prospects, and they're not developing that way. Is that a managerial problem? Is it a coaching thing? Or did they just miss out on them altogether? Go ahead, Joe.
well, I was going to say it's really weird that coming into the season that we knew the Reds were going to struggle offensively because they didn't have enough outfielders and question marks at the corners. We knew they'd have decent starting pitching and questionable, possibly decent bullpen. And here we are a little over halfway through the season, and they have a bad offense because they don't have enough outfield hitting, and their corner infielders have been bad. Their starting pitching has been good, and the bullpen's been decent but could be better with average. It's really weird how the strengths and weaknesses that we knew the team has still are here halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I get with the corner outfielders and everything. McLean is the one that's driving me nuts. CES is the one that's driving me nuts. Those are guys that I thought would be, especially McLean. I mean, he showed no signs of this his rookie year whatsoever. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the Reds right now is perceived talent and realized talent. Like, that's why they brought in Terry Francona, because they didn't think that David Bell could bridge that gap. They're not turning the potential that they see in these guys, the scouting reports and things like that, into actual production. And because of that, that's where we see these games where, I mean, it just felt like they weren't making adjustments last night against Jansen Junk.
Junk. His name's Junk, and we got our ass kicked by him.
Hey, like, you get beat by Junk. It sounds like you need to call Rumpke or something if you get beat by Junk. But
and Rumpke, if you want to sponsor this podcast, just DM me. Go ahead.
Exactly. But no, it was rough because they were just out in front of everything. Cowboy said it midway through Chris Welsh said it midway through the broadcast, where he was just like, it just looks like they're early on everything. They're way ahead of whatever it is that they've got coming plateward. And that's why they ended up popping up so much, but there just wasn't that adjustment in game yesterday.
That's the thing. There never is an adjustment. I don't see this team. I mean, we've seen stretches everywhere. If it's going good, it's going good. And then when it's going bad, it's going bad. And they can't get out of it when it goes bad.
I've seen some scouting questions here recently. I wonder if that's where we're at, is that the advanced scouting just isn't where it needs to be, like some other team. Like the Brewers never seem unprepared. And there's some games that it's like, do we know who we're facing here?
Right.
So, Jeff, let me ask you, or Jeff Carr, the one that knows what he's talking about. There are a lot of Cleveland fans I've seen, and I've seen since early on in the season going on, that this is a lot of this. They think these are issues that they had with Chris Vallejo when he was there in Cleveland. The approaches and a lot, just the lack. I don't want to say lack of adjustments, because I mean there are adjustments. I mean, everyone is, but it's like they're hearing it's not the right voice. And Terry brought him along not because he was qualified, but because he was his guy. Do you get the sense on that for whether that's a legitimate concern or just stretching for excuses why the team, some guys just have regressed and other guys just haven't progressed?
I think the blame and obviously and like conversely the credit that a hitting coach gets is overblown. I think that there's some different messaging that he can deliver to hitters, but at the end of the day, when they're up there in the box, they're the ones that are making the adjustments. I have noticed year over year the Reds are looking at a lot more pitches. In fact, they lead the league in called strike percentage, not called third strike percentage, but just called strikes in general. But I think a lot of that is just really trying to extend at bats. And here recently against Boston and against Philly and now against the Marlins here in game one, it seems as though they've tried to flip that. It's almost as if they are making a pre-adjustment and they're trying to mess with any scouting report that teams may have on them, where it's like, okay, we're not going to extend at bats now we're going to be aggressive. So they think they can get a pitch by us early. We're just going to jump all over that pitch. And it hasn't really, it worked decently well in Boston, and it's not worked these last 4 days.
Right. I mean, we're getting to the point. This is a big stretch here. Like, they were one game above 500 heading into the All-Star break. I mean, Dustin here says the Reds are sellers. Well, I'm not here to say they're buyers or sellers right now. I'm here to say that these next few games here, we got 7 games left, I think, for All-Star break. These are huge. This will decide, in my opinion, before the All-Star break and after the All-Star break, those like 10 games, that's deciding if you're going to be buyers or sellers. And they're not going to be a trade now to try to fix this. These guys have got to fix it themselves. They've got to figure out what they were doing in June, because what they were doing in June was working. Now we've only, a week or so into July, but it's not a very good start so far. And that's the part where, like you said, advanced scouting, something. They got to figure this out. And just the stupidity of the defense last night is just ridiculous. Marte, I love Marte. I still think he's going to be good, but throwing the ball over to the catcher and then throwing it past second baseman, and then Will Benson made a strong throw, but he threw it to the wrong side of home plate. It's just little stuff like that. When it just piles up when you're not hitting, it's very hard and frustrating to watch. I mean, I was watching last night, like, why am I still watching this game? Because Junk, the part where I knew we were going to lose this game, Junk threw, I think, 7 or 9 consecutive balls outside the strike zone. And 2 wild pitches or pass balls. We had a guy on third and first, 0 outs. We got 1 run. 1. We should have
just
jumped
off the sack
over
fly
him.
from Tyler Stevenson. Yeah.
Right. And I know Steer was sitting there. He was 3-0. And John Sandak asked Larkin on the TV broadcast, "Are you taking here?" And Larkin said, "Yeah." And I'm sitting there going, "I'm not. I'm swinging away. We need to score here." And he threw it right down the middle, and he took it. And then Steer, I think, popped out or grounded out or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. But that's the part. It's like, to me, that's where you need to be aggressive, because you're not scoring. Swing the bat.
Right. And I think, too, the other part of that game was really the late game pitching from the Reds. Like the way that the bullpen didn't work and the lack of production that they had on Monday night is a bit concerning. And I think moving forward, it's really hard to pick a guy. And I want it to be Graham Ashcraft, but right now it's Emilio Pagan, Tony Santillan, and a whole bunch of coin flips. Mm-hmm. And they need somebody else. They need one other guy at least that they know they can count on. And I think that should be like their big push here at the trade deadline, especially if it's like a rental guy or something like that, because it'll be easier to afford that type of a player than, God forbid, that Byron Buxton deal that Dave Schoenfield put out there today. I want no part of that one, but I think that at the end of the day, that's where they can make the most hay, because even with the frustrating performances that we've seen lately from the lineup, they are still averaging over 4.5 runs per game. And if they can continue to get that sort of production, their pitching staff is going to help them win more games than not. They just need a little bit of help in that bullpen with the way that the rotation is missing Hunter Green, having Chase Burns, having some good starts, but ultimately going about 5 innings each time. So you're going to have to get 12 outs from your bullpen, and that's going to put a lot on guys every 5th day. And that's not to say what happens the other 4.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, I know I kept talking about that back in April, May. They're average 4 runs a game. But we still had 36 games where I'm exaggerating here, where we scored 1 or 0 runs. I mean, it's to me that's I'm not saying false, but it's skewed because they're averaging 4 runs a game, but there's been so many games where they haven't scored any. I don't even know what the number is. I haven't looked it up. But between 1 run and no run is awful, and that's right. I think it cracks me up. We're averaging 4 runs a game, but we lead. I guarantee we lead the majors in scoring 1 run or less.
The difficult part is if they're not drawing walks and they're reliant on putting together, strings of hits of 2, 3, 4, because they don't really have a lot of like, this guy's going to uncork a home run each and every time he's stepping up to the bat. There's no Adam Dunn walking to the plate for this team right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So without that, you need the walks, and like, they weren't drawing those walks last night. They did in the early innings. That's why they got the 1 run, and then they stopped. And I think that is part of the game that they cannot ignore. There's definitely a couple of guys that you watch them come up to the plate. Santiago Espinal, Matt McLain. Matt McLain's not been taking walks here recently. There's needs to be a little bit more patience from some guys, especially at the top of the order. Get on base for Ellie. Ellie is still hitting. I mean, he still got himself a hit last night.
He's the only one that's hitting. He's only hitting consistently. I mean, honestly.
And I think that Austin Hayes is gonna get back to what we saw before he really had his injury problems. Maybe not 150 OPS plus, but can he be 110? Because that'd be pretty good too.
Yeah, a lot of the issue is, and I don't know any way to, that you can balance this out, is just how streaky everybody in the lineup outside of Ellie. I mean, Ellie's obviously had, he's had hot stretches and he's had stretches where he's struggling, and the dog is struggling there. But I mean, like right now, it looked like McLean was starting to get things turned around, and then all of a sudden he's, he hasn't hit for the last week and a half. Terry Lee was hitting really, really well, and it looked like a month ago. Like this guy deserves to be a starter in the All-Star game, and he's been awful for the past month. Obviously, and Will Benson, like he's literally going to be nothing but a streak hitter, just because of his approach.
He's an extreme Jay Bruce. Yeah,
exactly. And he's even more hit and miss in his eye. I love his eye. I mean, I love the fact that he's willing to take walks, but and just so many guys up and down the lineup. I mean, Spencer Steer's probably your second best hitter of late, and he was just an absolute automatic out for the first 6-8 weeks. It is weird because I'm literally looking at Baseball Reference, and since I said something about the 0 and 1 runs, I'm looking at the run totals. I mean, there was when they scored 24 on Easter, and they went 3 runs the next 2 games, and there's like 9 runs and then 1 run, 0. And just obviously that's going to happen over the course of the season. You can't, like, each game has a result. It's not as if you're doing it on run differential over the whole season, but it's frustrating with this team just how hot and cold. Like they'll run off, win 4 out of 5 and hit the crap out of the ball, and then literally the very next game they'll have 2 hits. Yeah, and do the same thing for the next couple of days. It's hard to they're hard to figure out that way.
And that's the point for me. It's like, what do you do? I mean, the outfield corners have been a problem all year. But if Marte can get back to where he was before he got injured, that would help. Matt McLain has been at this point. There's people saying, which I'm not ready to do this. Let's give a Matt McLain. Like I'm not anywhere close to that. I'm not even saying a Steer. He's had a shoulder problem. I understand that. I'm more with the outfield right now. Put Austin Hayes in the right and put Lux in left. I know it's not the greatest defense, but to me, you need offense, and they can give you at least. I know Lux can give you a professional at bat. Is that crazy?
I don't think that's too crazy. I do like Lux a lot, but he's a much different hitter than Will Benson. I do feel like Will Benson, as streaky as he is, there's definitely a point that he can change the game with one swing. And he almost did there on Saturday,
Yeah.
hitting that home run for the Reds, but that was, of course, the only run they got. That's the most frustrating bit about them. Like you kind of mentioned, the streakiness. All of June, they had 4 games with just 1 run, and here they are 3 games in a row in the month of July,
Right.
having scored only 1 run. So I think there's a bit of streakiness when it comes to the clutch hitting that we haven't seen them really find that streak just yet that they can build off of and make it a consistent thing. But I think that they are a little bit more reliable in the comeback area than they were in April and May. And I think that at the end of the day, as long as the pitching keeps doing what it's doing, they're going to be fine. Now they need to add a few more. I'm going to continue beating that drum. They are buyers, they are not sellers, and they do not need to stand pat. They need to make sure that they make a couple of moves. And if they're just moves like they made in 2020, where it was, get a couple of bullpen arms and get some outfield depth, and that I think that's something that could really propel them to a wild card.
Aroldis Chapman and Gino Suarez come home.
That'd be fun.
That would be.
Those wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, I would be for that because I do think they're both available. What it costs to get them, I have no idea. Now, this is one thing that I've brought up here in the past, earlier in the season, where I compare what the Reds are trying to do to what the Bengals are trying to do. The Reds are trying to get their young guys developed into being, consistent hitters and potential, taking that to the playoffs. That's what the Bengals are too, especially with their defense. Their offense is set. I mean, the offensive line, you got to grab a rookie in there in Fairchild, and who knows over at right guard. It could be another rookie. It could be one of the guys they signed. But these are guys that they're trying to develop, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So to me, when you compare to both of them, it's kind of scary because they're trying to do the same thing. So far, it hasn't worked with the Reds, and that's, like I said, that's the frustrating part. It's like we've seen them have professional at bats. We've seen them do this. We just saw last month they were doing it. You just said they only had 4. What Joey said? 4 games? They scored 1 run in June. I mean, they can do it. It's just I don't. And is it because they are young? Is that why we're getting this inconsistency? I mean, does that have something to do with it?
There's that, but they aren't as young as they used to be.
No,
not even in a not even a Toby Keith sense, but just like they've seen some more experience. They've had a couple of players get some years under their belt. So we're not talking about guys that are just getting their legs underneath them. I think that they developed some habits last year where it was like a collective sophomore slump.
Right.
And now they've been trying to get out of it. We saw the potential of that in the month of June, and we've seen the converse side of that in May and here early on in July. So I think it's going to be interesting how the Reds supplement this team, because it's clear, like, to entertain the seller thought for just a minute, they really only have a couple of guys that they could trade, a couple of rentals, a couple of bullpen guys, and then you could stretch and do the whole Rays thing and trade Tyler Stevenson or Gavin Lux, but you're not going to sell the fan base on that. You're going to cause a bit of a revolt, because here we are trying to build to something, and you go and you make that deal. So they've got to figure out how to make this current roster better, and that's got to be their only aim.
The thing is, like, for me, I keep saying this, that some of the talent down in the minors, none of the big, not Cam Collier, none of our higher prospects, but like Gettleberry here just has them, like Chase Petty, Evan Arroyo. I would be one that I don't want to trade, but you're
trading those guys. You're trading those guys that really, really low values. I don't know. Chase Petty's got a low value, but and Edwin Arroyo hasn't hit. Like,
that's his problem. If he hit, he'd be up here.
Trade anybody who's in the minors. I don't care if it's Alfredo Duna, who I think is going to be of anybody in the Reds minor leagues. I think that guy's going to be the best player of all of them. He's an absolute stud catcher. Trade him, trade Collier, trade Sal Stewart. Like, I don't care. I care about the 26 guys on the MLB roster. The Reds aren't going to do that. I think the Reds are probably going to look to trade away Nick Martinez to try to get something for him at the end of the year, or before the end of the year. They're going to pick up a reliever like they did 2 years ago with Sam Maul, and then they're probably going to pick up some waiver claim bats in August after the trade deadline, like Harrison Bader, like the other guys. This is just they're selling the young guys, even though, as Jeff Carr said, they're not young. I mean, they're starting. Spencer Steer is 27. Matt McClain's 25 already.
Mhm.
Espinal's 30, and he still gets so many bets. Austin Hayes 29. Friedel's going to be 30 next month. Jake Fraley is 30. Tyler Stevenson's 28. I'm on board trading Tyler Stevenson if you can get MLB capable guys, because I don't think he's a long term. Like I don't think he's a legitimate difference maker catcher. Like I'm fine with him on. Does that make sense? Like, but like
You mean defensively, right? Or
both. I mean,
or both
he's
again?
he's a decent hitter, but he's still not a very good.
He's not your number
defensive
4 or
catcher.
5 hitter where they're putting him. Yeah, he's more of a lower lineup guy.
Right, he's a number 6, number 7 hitter in a good lineup, and he's not a good defensive catcher. I don't understand why people have hitched their wagon that he's big dumper up in Seattle, or one of the elite guys. Like he's not. He's a solid hitter for a catcher, and and he's a decent starter, but you can trade like there's a reason the Reds extended Jose Trevino. I think that they're sold on Trevino. Like I think that they're not sold on Stevenson being the future. Just thought that has nothing to do with anything. But
so just tie that a couple of questions. Who do you think they might trade, Jeff, and who could we trade for to help them win? A couple of the questions in the comment there. Okay?
There's a list of prospects that are becoming Rule 5 eligible. Some guys that they have to add to the 40-man roster this offseason that I think they probably trade from. It's a long list of some names that people have heard of and some that they haven't. The ones that they will have heard of, the two big ones for me, are Edwin Arroyo and Hector Rodriguez, both guys they will need to add to the 40-man roster. I think that, there's no reason why either one would get passed over. And if they can make the right deal for Edwin Arroyo, I think they would, but I'm with you. I think that you're trading him at the lower point of his prospect value. Hector Rodriguez would be interesting because he's not a young prospect. I think he's kind of in that range where you start to expect him to make his major league debut at some point. So they're looking at that from different teams' perspectives and like, okay, what could that trade value be? And then there's a bunch of other guys. I think ultimately, if they could do like a deal, like a Chase Petty and an Edwin Arroyo for someone huge, then sure. And then the other guys that I'm looking at on the other side of things, guys to go get, some guys who I think should be available, is a guy that we should see in this series at some point whenever the Reds throw a left-handed pitcher on the mound and the Marlins have Jesus Sanchez at the plate. They'll take Jesus Sanchez out and they'll put in Dane Myers. Really want the Reds to take a look at Dane Myers. Dane Myers kills left-handed pitching and is a really good defender with a pretty good arm who can play all three spots. He can play center field. He can play the corners as well. So he would be a good outfield option to look at. He shouldn't cost as much as some of the trades that we have seen, or like the Jim Bowden trade for Ryan O'Hearn. But speaking of the Orioles, I would also look at a relief pitcher over there. They've got a number of guys that should be available, but I would really call to see if they're sold on trying to keep Yennier Cano, and then see if you could get Yennier Cano off of them, because he's the same, kind of like you mentioned, Joe, same situation as Sam Moll. If the Reds were to get him, he has multiple years of control left. And I think that because of the year that he's had, he should not be a guy that you have to trade a premium prospect for.
Now, I'm not going to take credit for this. Austin Elmore on Cincy 360 brought this up the other day. And at first, I'm like, you're crazy. But more thought about it. If Hunter Green is healthy, I'd be more willing to do this, which he was long tossing at the field today, so that's a good sign. And I did it again. I forgot his daggone name. Nick Lodolo. There it is. Comes back to, I got too much stuff going on here. Nick Lodolo. And at first I'm like, no, you don't want to trade him, because I've been a big Nick Lodolo fan. But that is a guy that I think has potential could be a number 2, number 3 starter for somebody. Could get you something in return. We got Hunter Green coming back. Rhett Lauder, hopefully, is coming back at some time this year. We got Chase Burns. We can actually deal from a plethora of pitching that we do have, strength that we have on this team. Nick Lodolo might be a guy that might be willing to. I don't know if they're thinking about it or not, but they could dangle out there and potentially get a good relief pitcher, a power hitting bat. Maybe you have to sprinkle in somebody else with him. But what's your thoughts on that one?
That would have to be, I mean, you'd have to trade him for a bona fide difference maker. Like, I know that there were some rumors that maybe the Red Sox would entertain the idea of trading away Jarren Duran. That'd be a guy that I'd talk about Nick Lodolo for, because what happens is you better shore up another part of your roster if you're going to open up a hole by trading him.
Yes.
Because while the Reds do have some depth this year, they're waiting on Rhett Lauder to get healthy. And the most recent report was he got an MRI on his oblique that he strained in a rehab start, and there's still swelling there. So I don't think there's a timeline for him to return. You got Carson Spires in Louisville, but that's not like a guy that I'm trading Nick Lodolo because we have Carson Spires back healthy now. And then next year, and we keep talking about next year in Cincinnati, but next year you've got some really good dudes in the rotation, but they're not helping you now, like Williamson and Julian Aguiar. And then, Chase Petty, I think with another year of work in AAA would be a much better rotation option next year. But again, it's not helping you this year. So I wonder a little bit, like it's got to be a bona fide, we are putting a check mark next to a need, like you go get the big time outfielder.
Yeah,
that's where you're trading Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, that's the only way I would trade him is you are making a hole in your rotation, which has been your strength, despite what's been happening.
It's gotta be like a sell buy situation.
Yes,
right? Like you aren't selling him for prospects. That's
right. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. If they did that, I'd be I'd be ticked off. They just traded for his prospects. That would not be the point of that. But that would be somebody that could get you that bat that you need, and then you could take Odolo and some of the other guys down in Myers, and maybe go get a Chapman or somebody like that. I mean, that's kind of just throwing stuff out there because, but that's not either here nor there. None of that matters unless they start winning these next couple games in this homestand. If they continue to play like they are, they're not going to be sellers because it's just like you guys said on Locked on Reds the other day. The ownership is happy with the way things are right now. If we're competitive, cool. That's all they want there. I know Bob said that I'm going to bring championship baseball back to Cincinnati, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to hold him to that. He said that when he bought the team, and it's never happened. We've never won one championship.
This is season 20.
Yeah,
of the Bob Castellini ownership,
and we've never had. And I don't believe that they want to do it. The Los Angeles Dodgers. I hate the freaking Dodgers, but they go out and do whatever they can to get the best players. I know they got more money, yada yada, but they spend it. That's it.
They called up Alexis Diaz today.
They did. I did not know that. Okay, great.
See, the issue with the Reds is the Reds want to win.
As long as it costs not
right. They would they really would like to win. It would be awesome if they were to win ball games, to win more games than they lose. Legitimate teams, and even teams that don't have a big budget. I mean, talking the Rays, talking the Brewers, they try to win. Like Brewers are not afraid to make a trade, like to trade away some of their franchise studs,
right,
early
because they know they can go draft and
compete. Yeah, not even like last year they traded Corbin Burns, who's one of the top 15 best pitchers in MLB,
right? Yeah,
and they still
they still get their ass.
Right, Reds still couldn't beat them any which way, and even the guys that they received back,
Joey Ortiz was a big one.
Yeah, Joey Ortiz and the pitcher,
Kramer? Dean Kramer,
and like they haven't done, like they haven't exactly been like replaced the productivity that they got from Corbin Burns, but it's like they're bold, like they're out trying to do something to win, not only today but to have a roster that's going, and Reds do these weird stopgap things like putting out the qualifying offer for Nick Martinez, which it still makes no sense to me. Like you only do that if you know he's gonna decline it. It's so weird, and it prevented. Well, not that they would have signed a bat, but it at least gave them an excuse why they couldn't get a bat. I guess. I don't know.
Me and Joe talked about this in off season. I like the moves they did. I liked getting Lux. I liked getting Austin Hayes. They needed at least just one more, at least one more. And I always wanted that Greg Vaughn, that veteran bat. I always think of Greg Vaughn because he led the '99 team. Somebody like that, a veteran outfielder, come in here and show these guys what it takes to be a playoff contender, because there's nobody on this team that I think has done that, has been to the playoffs and knows what it's like to play 162 games, and contend for.
Gavin Lux has two World Series rings.
Well, they got Lux and Trevino as well.
All right,
that's right, Trevi.
I guess my point is those guys aren't leaders in the clubhouse. Yes, you got two guys there, but not like Greg Vaughn was that guy. And that's what I think they're lacking here. I mean, Joey Votto would have been great. I'm not saying they should have kept Joey Votto, but somebody like that veteran presence that has been there, done that, and can at least be that big scary bat that we don't have. They needed one more, just one more. That's all they needed.
Well, I know like that players only meeting that they had at the beginning of June was called by Lux and Trevino, and they took the experiences they had from their other teams and kind of like told them like, look, like I noticed everybody's coming back into the dugout and they're just stuck on their iPad, watching their last at bat, really analyzing everything to death and just driving themselves crazy. Like, let's get up on the top step. Let's be invested on every pitch. And that kind of changed them up a little bit. So hopefully they can continue to do that. But I do agree with you. I think that they needed one more move. And I'm not sure that they had the big time experience guy out there. Like, could they have gotten a Randall Grichuk? I know he signed pretty early with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but that would have been the guy that I would have looked for on top of Austin Hayes, because it's clear that if they were making two moves, they were going to need a Hayes type move of a prove it deal, and they were going to need somebody else that's more of a platoon guy and not an everyday player. Because ultimately, my grail was Teoscar Hernandez, but it was clear that he was like LA or nothing. Like,
right.
There was some people that were talking about like he might have been like LA or retirement. That was basically what he was looking at. He wouldn't look at any other team. So it's like, all right, then what about Anthony Santander? But Santander is a DH. He is not an outfielder, and he's played really poorly for the Blue Jays up until this point. So all of that, like looking together, I still think that the Reds' best hope to acquire the piece that they need is through trade, because whoever's on that free agent market is a free agent for a reason. People don't just let good talent go unless, they're going to be like Juan Soto and get $100 gajillion billion
right.
On their next contract.
And the point of this thing too is Ellie, they're not look, I've come to this realization. They're not going to sign Ellie. And I think this whole thing of getting rid of David Bell was all right. It seemed like anyway to me that, all right, we're going to have Ellie for a couple of years. We need to make a change at manager. He's not getting us over the hump. And then they did, again, to their credit, they did add people, but they need to make a trade. The trade, like the Gavin Lux trade, was a great trade. Gavin Lux has been a really good player for us. We needed another one like that for a big bat, give up a little more. We need that now more than ever. But again, this is where I'm going back to right now. It's on the players, because they're not making any trades. Yeah. They're not doing anything. It's on the players. The players have got to figure this out if they want the front office to move to go do so. Because Nick Krall's like, oh, well, we're just going to wait and see what happens, which is Nick Krall's. That's his answer for everything. That's where, to me, what's happened the last couple of days. Now, the pitcher for the Phillies, damn near perfect game. That you tip your cap to. Saturday's game,
Zach Wheeler. Yeah.
Zach Wheeler, thank you. Zach Wheeler, you tip your cap to. That you can't do anything about. But Saturday's game and yesterday's game, that's on the players. You can't be throwing the ball around the infield. You can't be throwing the ball to the wrong side of home plate. You gotta get more than one run. You have to. Do you want to stay in this? You've got to have professional at bats. I keep saying it because, dude, last night it was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, before I even knew it, they're going back in the dugout and the Reds are back out of the field. It was easy for the Miami Marlins. There was no fights. I'm not saying they weren't fighting, they weren't trying, but their at bats have got to get better. I've had Corey Dillon on here, and he says, sometimes the players just got to play better. That's what the Reds got to do right now. They just got to play better somehow. I don't know how. I mean, am I crazy in any of this?
No, I mean, when you add up, at least according to Baseball Reference, when you add up the WAR of Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, and Tyler Stevenson, it's 1.2.
That's awful.
That's awful. Like those need to be those guys need to be combining. They need to, at this point in the season, have at least one WAR a piece. And then when you also look at the fact that a guy who I believe the Reds forwent, that's the right way to say that, going for a cleanup hitter is because they're like, no, we got Christian Encarnacion Strand. He has the exact same WAR as Jeimer Candelario.
He's been so disappointing to me. I said that. I'm like, I've talked about it with Joe. I said, my opinion, that he was the big bat. I still wanted to go get another one, but he was the one they were counting on. And dude, you can't play him at third. I was just giving him credit a couple weeks ago because he's playing better at third. Then he made that horrible play. He's okay at first base. He's not hitting good enough to be a DH. You guys talked about moving to the outfield. I'm not moving him to the outfield until he goes and learns how to do it in the minor leagues or something. So
Do that for a little while too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
It's tough because like the scouting report on him is so glowing. Like, and
I
we
know.
saw it at Fenway, he can hit the ball a country mile, but it's just he's doing that so few and far between now, and he's making so little contact at the plate that he is a guy that has to out hit his defense even at first base. And if he's not hitting and he ain't fielding, there's hard, it's a hard argument to get him on the field.
But
I feel like bringing it back to the clip from the movie Office Space. What do you say you do here?
What is it you do here?
Exactly.
But that goes back to the roster construction or the roster construction issue is that they're hoping. Like, you can't go in and have 3 spots in the lineup where you are hoping guys go from here to here. Well, okay, there we go. From here to here. Like, it's one thing, like, you're putting in a young player that you expect him to take a step up, but Matt McClain, you had no idea what he was going to be because he missed an entire season.
Right.
And yeah, he looked really, really good in 2023, but that was 90 games? Almost, 18 months without playing a competitive game. And then Christian Encarnacion Strand, his scouting report is about as easy as there is. You throw a strike to get ahead, then throw nothing anywhere near the zone, and he's going to swing at it. And he's either going to swing and miss or make crap contact because he's too busy trying. He expands the zone all the time.
It's like Ellie. Ellie would do that, and Ellie's gotten better this year. I think of not expanding the zone. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his swing rates and everything like the in zone rate and the out zone rate and everything for Ellie's trending. That the results look kind of similar to what last year's were, but I think his the trends and everything, he's still looking up. I have no problem with Ellie. I wish he would take a bigger step just because we need him to. They need more production, and he's but that's more my expectation or my wishes than his expectation.
He's got the weight of the franchise on him. I mean, he is the franchise. I mean, he's jackpot Joey Burrow. That's who he is for the Reds.
Yeah. So it's what do you do? It's we're fans, and Jeff, you make your you make a living talking about the Reds daily, of an organization that just doesn't care enough because they're more concerned about income, their individual income at the end of the year, their bottom line, than they are about trying to be a good steward of the franchise for the city's sake and put a winning team out there. They want to win. They're not trying to win.
But hey, Reds Fest is coming back this year. We can look forward to that.
I am happy about that.
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
But I would also see from their standpoint, and not to say that they're correct in this, but I know how they would argue is they would say, we have made our investment in these young players and we're letting the investment mature. We're letting it figure itself out. And that's the hard part for us as fans is that we want those guys to be good now. And even just to be as good as they were in Matt McClain's case, to be as good as they were his rookie season. I wonder if he's going through a little bit of what Tyler Stevenson went through after he recovered from his collarbone thing. And I know that it's a different injury, the rotator cuff and all that, but at the same time, being a shoulder, you have a lot of mechanics in your swing that you got to work around and figure out again. So I think as the year goes along, we'll see him continue to get better. It's just we don't have a whole lot of time to wait around. It's kind of got to get going now. We can't be sitting here in August like, all right, is it going to get going soon? Because it'll be far too late.
And that's the thing, too, is I get the waiting for them to mature and develop, which if I thought we were going to keep a lot of these guys, I'm like, okay, I understand that. But we're not. The front office has shown that they won't keep them. They will let them walk or they will trade them. That, to me, puts even more pressure on, all right, our window of time with this group of young players. I mean, Elliott's already his third year. He's got, 5 left? I think he's a free agent. Is that what it is?
He's got 4 because he was a Super 2, so the 2023 season doesn't count towards his 6 years. But he gets into so he's got 4 more seasons. Yeah. No, I do have to push back a little. We do have to push back a little bit. When was the last time the Reds had a franchise player that they let walk away? Like they traded away some pitchers and everything, but
he's gonna be a $1 billion player.
They haven't had good enough players. Is the problem?
True.
Joey Votto was the only really good player that they've developed in the past 20 years, and they signed him long term. I mean, he played his entire, so it's a different thing. Now, again, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk over top of you, but I don't expect that he's going to stick around on the Reds. I mean, I would hope that they would, if they're not going to re-sign him, you would almost hope that they would trade him if they're not in it the last year to get more value than just a comp pick when he walks away. But like that's
But that's
they don't
Juan Soto
they
thing.
don't have a history of having good enough players to worry about letting good players go away. I mean, they traded away a bunch of pitchers a couple years ago. That was dumb, but they don't have a lot of history with good position players to trade away. And just one last thing, I got to get rolling. Got to get rolling here because we got to get back to a
go to the pool.
But yeah, exactly. So I will save my vacation story for next week or the next time I'm on, because that was fun and exhausting, and we're still dealing with it. So
yeah, that you hopefully you have an into it. Anyway, go back to the pool. I'll you can take off, sir. You already
Jeff. See you guys. Have a good night.
See you, brother. So my thing with Ellie is, and Joe does bring up a good point there. We haven't had franchise players. When we do, we have signed them. We signed Ken Griffey Jr. We signed Barry Larkin. We signed Joey Votto. Then we signed nobody else. That's what I don't want to happen. I'm like, I would love to keep Ellie, but I've seen it too many times where they'll spend the money on one player and nothing else. And I don't want to go. I want to go watch a team when I love watching Ellie De La Cruz play. I would love him to be a Red for life. But I know what's going to happen. They'll pay him, and they won't pay anybody else. So you get there and watch Ellie, and it's like, okay, and what?
And I think I think Nick Kroll understands that. That's the thing that we don't give him enough credit for, is that he's been with the organization long enough that I think he has seen the pitfalls it went through early on, because he's been here since the mid-2000s. Mm-hmm. So he's seen the pitfalls they went through with Griffey. He's seen the pitfalls of the Votto contract. And I don't necessarily know that we see a decade-long contract again for a player on this team, at least under the current economic structure. But I think what we were more likely to see would be like a 5 or 6 year deal. Maybe they buy out a year or two of a player's free agency if they're super talented like Ellie. I could almost see them signing a longer term deal as they get closer to free agency with guys like Spencer Steer and Matt McLean and things like that. But I also don't necessarily believe that every single player is going to jump at that. So there's definitely going to be some players that they will not be able to keep. And I'm with you. I've already resigned myself to the fact that, the Reds need to put together some sort of Juan Soto deal for the final year of Ellie's contract, because he's not going to stay. Like, he's going to have so much interest from LA, from New York, from Chicago. I mean, as painful as that would be to see.
No.
There should be, there should be 29 other teams that are lined up ready to sign him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, or people, I've got discussions with people like, well, let's trade Ellie now. I'm like, for what? Because if you're always trading Ellie now, you're trading for prospects. Great. We're getting more prospects that will develop, and we'll let them go. That's why I'm like, you got 4. If Ellie's up in 4, you got 4 years to do this. So, like Joe said, trade the guys in the minors. Go get somebody so we can win now. Look, these guys are talented. I still believe in this team. I mean, for the most part, I want to add, a better corner outfielders. I would love to. I think Marte, I think he's going to be good. Ellie's going to be fine. I think McLean, hopefully, he's going to figure this out. Steer, I think he's going to figure out. So yes, that one I'm kind of wavering on. These guys have talent. If you get 2 corner outfielders that can take the pressure off of them, all right, and that's where I think it is, because these guys know. They know they're not hitting. I mean, they know they're not hitting, and they know we've done this before. And the pressure mounts. And I'm not saying that the pressure is getting to them, but it will after a while, and you get frustrated. And that's the thing. It's like, it'd be nice to have somebody who is just consistent, and they can hit the ball. Like, all right, if I didn't do it, I know he'll pick me up. And then that's contagious. That's once the batting lineup starts doing that, the next guy picks you up. The next guy picks you up. It starts with one guy doing it. And Ellie might be the guy to do it, but he's been doing it pretty much all year, and we haven't had anybody come yet. Matty Ron says he wants Buxton. He likes that.
Don't love that trade. Like, if they could tweak it a little bit.
What was the trade? I didn't read it. What was it?
Rhett Lauder, Chase Petty, and Sal Stewart for Byron Buxton. And
no. Too much.
Don't get me wrong, Byron Buxton has a ton of talent, but
Not all those guys. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, not for all three of those guys, but availability is the best ability. And in 11 years, he has 2 seasons where he played more than 100 games.
That's not
One
good.
season where he played 140. He's never played more than 140.
That's not good. I'll be ixnayed on that one. But like I said, right now there is not the cavalry's not coming. It's on the player. I think we kind of discussed that. I think it's on the players right now, Jeff. Don't you think? I mean, it's on them to step up and get this offense going.
Yeah, the offense, and I saw the earlier point, the guy that was talking about the fielding not being very good. I'd say it's better than it was last year, but it's still not good. It's still bottom half of the league, and they've got to continue to improve that, and that is on the players. You can't hang that on Terry Francona or Freddie Benavides or whoever. It's on the players. Yeah,
and the infielders like Marte, he's talented enough to not throw that ball away. Ellie, God love him, drives you nuts. His errors are throwing. McClain, his defense is fine. I have no problem with his defense. Steer, I think his best position, honestly, is first base. I think he could be a Gold Glove first baseman. TJ Friedel is a hell of a center fielder. It's just every once in a while they hit just brain farts. It's like you can't. And I know it's a young team, but like Joe said, they're really not that young. I mean, these guys in your third year, sometimes some of these guys fourth year. It's time to put this whole thing together. And this is a crucial. They made it. That's the thing is they made it through the gauntlet. They made it through it. Now this should be the easier part. I mean, the Marlins are one of the hottest teams, but it's the Marlins. We should beat them. We should have won last night. We should have not scored one run.
Right, and this is a stretch where. Honestly, I think if they go less than 5-2, it's a disappointment. So they've really put their backs against the wall to almost not lose the rest of the week. I mean, they got one more game to play with there, and hopefully they get the win tonight. If they lose tonight, they will tie their season-long losing streak. That's the good news, is that they haven't lost. They haven't had a streak longer than 4.
But still haven't gotten swept yet.
But now is not the time to be, looking at consolation prizes. They got to go win.
Exactly. Jeff, I appreciate you, man. I would like to have you on here sometime when we don't bitch about the Reds. I mean, that would be I want to be excited about it, man. I want to be happy. I'm like, and the thing that's what drives me nuts is they are close. I mean, they're close to being. We're not going to catch the Cubs. That's gone. We got a shot at this one of his wild cards. We got a shot at it.
And to their credit, they've at least reached out to Ellie. I know that they didn't get anywhere with it, but as all of the reports were with Nick Castellanos, they didn't even call him to see if he wanted to stay.
Still drives me nuts.
And the reports about Luis Castillo, where they waited until his contract year to even talk to him about a contract extension, when by that point he was far past their range of signing him. So it's like at least they're reaching out as early as they possibly can with Ellie. It's just they get to deal with Scott Boras, who they might as well be talking to a wall.
That's what I was about to say. Like, he's the Boras guy. Here, I'll get you out on this one here. Brad wants to know, Jeff C., do you believe the Reds are any better this year with Tito, or would be about in the same situation with David Bell?
I think they are better, but I don't think it's like exponentially better. Like I said, unless they make a move, they're an 84 or 85 win team, and I don't know that gets you into the wild card this year. I think you need to win 87, 88 games.
Yeah, which go get in their bat, go do that, but none of that's going to happen unless they start winning here heading to the All-Star break. Jeff, pleasure, man. Plug some stuff before I let you go, brother.
Hey, Jeff, appreciate you having me, man. You can always follow Locked On Reds everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube. You can watch us talk Reds. And you can follow my writing over at CincinnatiRedsTalk.com.
There you go. Always a pleasure, Jeff. Maybe I'll see you down at the ballpark sometime this year.
Heck yeah, man. Sounds good.
All right. Take it easy. See ya. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We're talking some Reds. Bengals training camp is coming soon. I was inspired. I keep seeing videos of Trey Henderson working out. He was working out at Black Dog with Sam Hubbard. So that still gives me hope that Trey's planning on being there for training camp. I mean, he's got to get ready for the season. He's getting ready for the season like he's planning on playing. Looks like it to me. I mean, they got to take it for what you want. I Still holding out hope that they're going to get this done. Get a long shot bet. We're talking about defensive player rookie of the year. And we're all talking, can Shamar Stewart do it? What about the linebacker, Knight, we got from South Carolina? What if because he is 25 years old, he's in the prime of his peak athletic life, 25, let's say that's about your peak. And he's coming in as a older rookie. And he's going to start next to Logan Wilson. Does he step up and be that linebacker that can he pick up where Pratt left off? Can he be that big of an impact to possibly be in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You guys can discuss and DM me and yell at me later if you don't agree. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I've been the live stream on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I will be pulling off the sound later on tonight. Put it on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Play wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Shout out to my sponsors of the show. Plus, if you guys want to sponsor, anybody out there want to sponsor the rundown that I do on Twitter, just DM me. You can put you like in this corner, like right here. I need a spot right there. That corner right there needs another sponsor. Anyway, shout out to Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You need any properties cut, any landscaping done. I don't know. Maybe you don't like your grass. Maybe you want to kill it all and make it look like a baseball field. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And, of course, Meyer Window, Door, and More. Check their website out at www.meyercincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours, sir. Energy efficient, easy to clean, great looking windows. Hell, you can meet Matty Myers and see the Jackpot Joey machine. And, of course, my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. I need to make it down there. Get on down there for Burger Week. They got, I think, 3 delicious burgers down there for Burger Week. They got Rocket on the Roebling each and every Thursday night during the summer. So get on down there to Moorline Lager House. Get you some great views of the river, pretty close to GABP. Eat there, go to a Reds game, cheer on the Reds, drink some delicious Moorline beer. Moorline Lager House. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't have a guest set up yet. I will get one shortly and let you guys know. Other than that, remember this: Houday for life. Throw it up, baby. That's just sports, baby. See ya! Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.